All right, so let's spend a little bit of time talking about secondary data sources that are available for you to do a situation analysis to develop a marketing plan. Here are some of the areas that you might look for to find some local and national data. Local market information might be places like the U.S. Census, the Las Vegas Perspective, or maybe even the Nevada Department of Taxation. At a national level, of course, we have the U.S. Census data, which includes the census of businesses, and it provides some information about the size of particular industries in the United States. And so we have the U.S. Census, and I'm going to send you to an instruction tape video for the U.S. Census data, and then we'll probably spend maybe one lecture talking a little bit more about how you use the U.S. Census data and how to collect that data efficiently and effectively. But in terms of local data, there's two things that you probably want to at least be a little bit more familiar with than you probably currently are. One's the Nevada Department of Taxation, and the other is the Las Vegas Perspective. Now, the state of Nevada Department of Taxation collects all kinds of information about the taxes that are paid in the state of Nevada. Of course, a big chunk of that are sales taxes. As you know, as most of you know, our tax base here in Nevada is based on three types of taxes. It's gaming tax, and it is property tax, and then it's sales tax. And of course, the sales tax is a little higher here in Clark County than it is in the other parts of the state, because we take that extra money and use it for some local projects. But you can go to the Department the Department of Taxation website for the state of Nevada, and one of the kinds of information that you will be able to find right away is information like this. So this is the report for December for Clark County. Now, with this data, you can see that they have a whole bunch of lists. There are 4 or 5 pages of this. This is just one page of the data for Clark County, and this talks about the December taxes, taxable sales for Nevada. And you'll note that they have all this information in here, and it shows the taxable sales for this past year and then the year previous, and so it gives you a sense of the percentage of change. And you'll notice when you go to the right hand side that most of the columns are much lower. The percentage change has gone way down. For instance, if you take a look at food services and drinking places, this includes restaurants, it's down 40% from a year ago. Accommodations, that are hotels and short-term leases, is down by 65%. But on the other hand, some things are up. For instance, if you take a look at educational services, you'll see that there, I guess maybe the educational services are down by 12%, but waste management but ambulatory health and care services are up by 15%, and so are hospitals. And so hospitals are doing well during the pandemic. Not too surprising. At any rate, this information would give you some information about the size of particular industries here in Clark County. We use this information often when we're trying to get a sense of an industry size that is localized into at least one county. The other piece of information that you can get locally is something called the Las Vegas Perspective, and this has been produced for the last 30 or 40 years, I guess, and it is sponsored by the Las Vegas Global Economic Council. It is mostly conducted by the people at Applied Analysis, Jeremy Aguerno and his operation. Cox Communications is a sponsor. Channel 13 News is a sponsor. The Nevada State Bank is a sponsor, along with Wells Fargo. the University of Nevada, Las Vegas College of Business used to be a sponsor, but is no longer a sponsor. So what the Las Vegas Perspective does is it collects a bunch of local information so it's readily available in one place. It includes demographic information about the Las Vegas metropolitan area, mostly Clark County. It includes information about the community in terms of cost of living, sporting events, attractions, museums, all that sort of thing. It provides information about recreation facilities. It talks about the education opportunities here in Las Vegas. It provides information on healthcare facilities. It has an economic overview and also information about local businesses, local real estate, and tourism. It's about a 200-page document. I actually found a copy this morning for free online. But if you can't find one for free online, they're available for $15 from the LVGEA. If you just go to their website, you can get a digital copy of the Las Vegas Perspective for the most current version for $15. It's quite a bargain at any price. All right, and then of course there's a bunch of information that's readily available at the UNLV libraries, and the UNLV spends a significant amount of their budget on putting databases together so that you can find information. When you go to do a situation analysis, or you go to do a marketing plan of any sort, you probably do not start with a Google search. And we'll talk about Google searches at some later point. But the fact is that UNLV provides a bunch of data that you can't get anywhere else but through the UNLV library. When you click on the UNLV library, you'll come to this page. And in this page, you'll notice that it says at the bottom left, A to Z list of databases. Click on that, and then when it says topics, click on the topic that is business, and you'll find that there are 61 different databases that the library has identified as valuable for business and business students. Here's a list of some of the things that are included in that list. I have highlighted things that we use on a more regular basis, but all of these are valuable, and they're all valuable for sort of different reasons. Okay. Some of the things that we're going to talk about today is the IBIS World Industry Reports. We're going to show you a little bit about marketresearch.com, the Mintel Market Research Database. MRI is covered in a separate is in a separate video. I'll show you the policy map very quickly, Simmons One View, and of course I have a comment or two to make about Statista, which is available in a much better version through the library than strictly online. All right, so let's start with IBIS World. IBIS World is the best place to start if you're doing an industry analysis. IBIS World focuses on industry marketing research reports and statistics. It has industry research reports, it has industry trends, it has a number of different pieces of information that would be valuable for someone doing an industry analysis. When you log in and you get to the front page, it would look like this, and you would type in a key industry word, and it could be almost anything. I have an example here below. The example I have is I type in the word golf, and it has two reports that come up relatively quickly. One is a report on golf courses and country clubs in the U.S., and the other is golf driving ranges and family fun centers in the U.S. So, of course, when we talk about country clubs, there are all kinds of country clubs. It's a fairly diverse industry in terms of golf courses and country clubs. There are a couple of large firms who own multiple golf courses, but in general, they tend to be relatively diffuse. And then, of course, we have golf and driving ranges here, and of course, the major player is Topgolf, and most of you have probably been to Topgolf, so you're familiar with what that looks like. At any rate, these are industry reports. These industry reports would be very expensive to purchase by a firm, but you get a chance to get access to them for research purposes at the university for free. They are typically about 50 to 60 pages long, and include lots of information. For instance, here's an example for golf courses and country clubs. It looks at the industry at a glance, industry performance, industry outlook, products and markets, competitive landscape, major companies, and then it has information about revenues and profits. Here's an example of the industry at a glance. It shows the annual growth rate for country clubs, the annual profit for country clubs, the key external drivers, and some other information, just as an example of one of about 55 or 60 pages that you would get if you downloaded the the IBIS World U.S. Industry Report for golf courses and country clubs. Another useful database that our students use on a regular basis is the Mintel database, and the Mintel database it has international reports on consumers, products, and industries, and it mostly provides information that is more related to the customers than it is the specific industry. So we use this in many cases to see if we can gather some information, secondary information on customers in a particular product category. And when you get to the main page, this is what it looks like. Here they have an example. They're featuring today. When I looked this up, they were featuring the What America Eats. They're a new study that just came out this month that talks about what product categories and what foods the American population is consuming, both prepared at home, pre-prepared, and consumed in restaurants. If you were to type in the word golfing, for instance, this gives us information. There's a couple of studies here. One is a golf tourism worldwide from 2016. Another is the golf consumer from 2012. Now, these are probably a little bit too old for us to be able to use, but there is an interesting cross-category study in here about sports embrace COVID-19 relief efforts. And so there are some different pieces of information here. Sometimes you get lucky and find a research report that allows you not to collect any primary data. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way, but it is one of the places that we almost always look first. Here's the information about the golf consumer from 2012. It has an executive summary. It has issues in the market. It has an infographic overview. It has a full report that you can download, and it has a PowerPoint along with it, and it has a number of tables that are developed by the research, by the survey research that they have conducted in this product category. So Mintel is another good place to look. Here's an example of sort of the market trends, and the market trends, as you can see, is that the number of rounds of golf, in this case played, has consistently gone down, and it has continually gone down until most recently here in 2020, when the number of rounds has gone up, and that is largely explained by the pandemic and the desire for people to get outside and do some sort of sports. Golf is one of the safer things to do because you're not really around other people as much when you're playing golf. Then, of course, there is the MRI Simmons report, and we have a separate lecture on the Simmons report. But be aware that it is ready to go. To be able to get in and use that data, though, you need to register, and to register, you need a code. I have provided a code for you so that you can get up on that particular database. Next, we have the marketresearch.com academic database, and this is, of course, a database that has information about market intelligence. And typically it is survey research, but in other cases it's more industry-related data that they have put together in different product categories. Once again, it works like the Mintel database does. You type in some keywords, and see if you can find something that is related to whatever it is that you're trying to learn about. Another one is called Passport, and of course the Passport is actually more global and international. So I assume that all of the students there are taking a course in either marketing research or a course in international buyer behavior or a course in international marketing have been up on this website to find information about industries, economies, consumers, companies, and then of course analytics. There is another Simmons database that we have available. It's called the Simmons OneView, and it allows you to create your own crosstabs in Simmons. It's more complicated than the University Reporter, but it is also therefore more flexible. But you really do have to go up and go through the tutorial to learn how to use the Simmons OneView. When you get up on it, it looks like this, and obviously this doesn't provide you with much information. You would want to have gone through and done the tutorial first, so that you understand how this particular database works. Next on the list is the Policy Map. Policy Map is a new beta design that we are testing here at UNLV. It provides information on specific areas, and so you can go in and you can find out about demographics, incomes and spending, housing, lending, quality of life, the economy, education, health, etc. for individual counties within a state, and even in some cases metropolitan areas. And so if you were looking for some information about Nevada or Clark County or the city of Henderson, you might find that information on a policy map quicker than you could find it using the U.S. Census. And of course, and the university database has a subscription to Statista, which allows you to download more information than you can as an individual using Statista through Google or some other search engine. Now, and of course, I'm sure that you've had teachers that told you should never use Wikipedia and you should never use Statista for any of your research. Well, that's not really right. But you should use Statista the same way that you've probably been taught to use Wikipedia. And that is, you use it like a focus group. You use it to find what information is available. Then you go to the original source to understand the data and cite it. So when you go up on the Statista, it says, welcome to University of Nevada, Las Vegas. You design your own account and you get in and you can find information. Okay, and so I was looking for some information on self-storage units. And this is, of course, what you would get to. You'll notice that that there are 90 forecasts and surveys. There are 3 infographics. There are 5 Statista studies, and you go up and down, and there's a bunch of information here about this particular industry, and in some cases also consumers. So here's an example of what you would find if you were using Statista. You would find this is the share of self-storage units rented in the United States in 2017 by tenant type. And you'll notice that 77% of self-storage units are used for residential. 19% are business driven, so that's 96% of them. 2% are military and 2% are students who use the storage facilities either when they are out of school or from a military perspective, oftentimes when they are staying at different locations and they are moving or getting ready to move. Now, if you got this piece of data and you were going to use it in a situation analysis, the site is not Statista. The site is the source down at the bottom. So you can see that down at the bottom of these, they have the actual source of data. In this case, it's the Self-Storage Association from the United Kingdom and MIC law with an ID of 1051162. And so you have sources that are sort of that you can cite, and you should go to those sources and see what else they have to say about this data. But the same thing as when you use Wikipedia. You find a piece of information in Wikipedia, you then go to the citation that it is referenced in that particular statement and go to the original source and then use the original source as your citation, and also use the original source to find out more about how that data was collected and what it exactly means. So there are many sources in the UNLV library for you to use to find out information about business industries, consumers, competitors, and the macro environment. A couple of more that we use occasionally is the Forbes and the Fortune archives, Sage Business Research, Sage Business Stats, and the Sports Analytics database. These are things that we tend to use on sort of a regular basis. There are all kinds of data available through the UNLV library. My recommendation for you is to take a few hours and learn what's available. It will help you not only in this course, not only in becoming a better marketing planner, but also it will help you in your other courses as you go through the university. Now, let me just finish with the secondary research approach. The way to think about secondary research is this way. Try to figure out what it is that you need. Then, what data does that need call for? That is, what piece of data would answer the question of the information that you need? Then you need to find it. And if you can't find it, you need to see what else is available. Is there a surrogate for that? So perhaps you can't find the actual number of units sold, but you might be able to find total sales. And then if you know what the average retail price is, you can back into the number of units sold. You need to find out what's available. You need to find that data, and then you need to collect it. Then you need to be able to interpret that data and determine the best way to present it to readers of the market research report. Would it be better in a table, a graph, a chart, etc.? Finally, have fun and learn about the organization's situation. The more you know about the situation that an organization is facing, the better job you'll be able to do in creating a marketing plan for them.